This isn't working. Why is it not working? Yeah, I don't think it does look like that XP pinball game, but you know, it should. That's the ideal pinball game. Also, welcome in. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Move my webcam slightly. I didn't really set up like a scene for this or anything, I just have the regular game on. We'll see how it goes. I'm playing this on the actual cartridge as well, on my Analog Pocket, which is fun. I've not really played much of this game. Maybe a little bit loud as well. Yeah, exactly. Just slap a camera and chat on it, done. That's streaming, right? There's already so much going on. Music's good though. Hitting these Kirbys. So I think this is like Pokemon Pinball in a way, where it's got like levels and stuff. And things you can fight. I say like Pokemon Pinball, really, this game came out a long time before Pokemon Pinball did, so... Well, you just feed these Kirby's. Try and get back up. There we go. Oh my god. We briefly go back up. Ah, perfect. We go score a goal. Whoa, bizarre little minigame. That's pretty fun. Ah. Exactly, welcome in, man. How's your Tuesday going? Ah. Oh, when you run out of time, it just blocks your... what you do that. Which makes sense. Now, what am I going to do on this screen? I assume hatch the eggs. Getting back up there seems like a real pain in the butt, though. Oh. There's more stuff down here. Is there more stuff down here? Oh, no, that's... Work hours. That sounds good to me. Yeah, my day's gone alright. I finished the thing I was working on just before lunch, so I figured, hey, why not do a wee stream at lunchtime? Before I start the next thing after lunch. Oh, I fucked that up. R.I.P. Kirby. What happens now? Oh my god. I'm really bad at this, the timing on this. Breathe. Although honestly, I don't mind my work. My work's alright. As of today, I've officially been working at my current job for a year. Throw us. I was hoping he would throw us higher than that, I'll be honest. Getting back up to that top one seems like a real pain. So if we hit the snowman, we'll get a warp star. It is a sandwich, Cashy. Welcome in. Told you I might play Kirby Pinball. Oh, badly though. We're gonna have to restart now. Look how unamused Kirby is in the corner there. He is unhappy. Yeah, I hope your day is continuing to go well, Cashy. Yeah, it's definitely the most relatable Kirby face. Right, let's see if we can get into one of the different levels. Nope, we're going to the same one again because I fucked up. Go up. Try and hatch these eggs. I don't know if it matters, but I want to do it. Pinball, you get points, right? Oh! My sleep was pretty good. Come on, let the squid thing through you again. They blew up the egg. Fucked up. You can't just do that. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a way to like progress, or if it's just get a bunch of points and then leave to the next level. Oh, I need to turn that alert off. The Kirby rewards are all turned off because I pointed the camera at my face for once instead. There are no Kirbys on my face, unfortunately. Did you only just notice my face was on screen? I did make it pretty small, to be fair. Oh my god. I'm doing so terribly at this. Oh, yeah. I bet it's not the most visible on phones. I want to try to get the warp star so we can get out of this level. Because then you hit the snowman a bunch. Ah, okay. Alright. Let's just try to get to that level from the start. See some more of this game. I'm not good at pinball games. I'm not good at real pinball either, to be fair. So I'm not expecting to do well nice. I got surprisingly okay at the Super Robot pinball game I was playing. Right. No! Right, I'm actually restarting that. You stop doing that. Can I restart this? Let's try again. Let's try again a different level. For reals. No, not migraine twins. It just really wants me to go into that level. I want to see the rest of the game. There we go. Let's see what's different. Got a floating Kirby instead. Sun's up here. We killed the sun. Now the moon's angry. Just like in Kirby. I'm not like the best judge of how pinball games feel, because, you know, I don't really play much pinball. This feels alright. It reminds me of the physics of, like, a Pokemon pinball. Which is kind of my comparison point for pinball games, because it's the only one I play. But I feel like it requires less precision than Pokemon Pinball, and then it has these like multi-screen things that are pretty fun. Oh, like Kirby's got his little parasol out. I don't know how I'm meant to get up there. I want to try and bounce on the parasol. There we go. It just sent me straight up. I guess I really needed to be mashing one of the tilts. I don't know which tilt does which, to be fair. They don't seem to make a massive difference. Compared to like Pokemon Pinball where you can just move right across the screen with it. Also, yeah, I think you should be twins for something more fun than migraines. They are an unfortunate part of life. Okay, finally we got back up here. Killed that guy. I quite like these like boss fights that are at the top of the screen. The music's good, obviously, because it's Kirby music. I could also change the color palette to something more interesting, just the plain grey one. I'll do that after this. No! Stay on the thing. Let's kill them in. Get out of here! They've got a proper boss fight. Kirby's not even just rolling around in this one, he's like jumping. That's pretty fun. Having boss fights in this is pretty cool. That Super Robot Pinball also has boss fights like this, which is neat. Like when it was shooting lightning there, the left flipper, I wouldn't be able to use it, I'm pretty sure. Oh, pick up the key! Or the wand, I suppose it's probably meant to be. We did it! We actually finished the level. Oh, Monica, if you want the authentic ones of those vibes... Oh, we're back to our old favourite. If you want the authentic ones of those, though, we probably want either this one or this one. I'm quite fond of this one, personally. But yeah. But I can also change in here. You can make it kind of mint, kind of purpley blue, green, kind of reddish. I don't know why this one's called purple. It always shows kind of reddish. This one's closest to purple, I think. It's a very kind of like violet-y color. I'll stick with this one for now. Weirdly, I think the most I've played, most played games on my Analog Pocket have been pinball games, which, as someone that's not a big fan of pinball, is weird. I've played like quite a lot of Pokemon Pinball and Super Robot Pinball, which is by the same people that made Pokemon Pinball, but it's like mechs. Come on, we just need to get the last one. No! Oh, we were so close. I don't know what it would have done, but we were so close to doing whatever it was. Well, fuck that one up. But yeah, I don't know why the purple filter on here is called purple when it's like clearly red. Whereas this one is definitely closer to purple. I wonder if like the original one on the Game Boy that it's based on was more purpley? I don't know. Maybe it shows purple in more purple in some games. Just not Kirby ones. Oh my god. Yeah, we're fucked. I don't know when you're meant to hit the thing for that. I keep doing them as its lowest, but I think you might need to do it as its highest. Oh, for fuck's sake. We're gonna die here. This isn't our level. This isn't our level. Game over. We didn't manage to beat any of these people. I assume the person that owned this cartridge before was called Carl. Unless that's just the defaults. That seems unlikely. See if we can go to Wispy Woods. Nope, we're going back to this one. See if we do this one again. I would like to try and see the Wispy Woods though. Oh god, right, we're dead. Yeah, I keep messing it up. Actually, hold on, I'm just gonna drop all the way down. I just want to see what the timing is on this. Alright, so if you hit it when it's at the bottom, it doesn't do anything. Oh no, man. Roll out of bed. Log on to a meeting. I don't know when you're meant to hit that. Confusing. The timing on it seems really weird. I don't know why. It's just not... It's not what I would expect. Wispy Woods. Oh, this one's got like a little slot machine on it. Oh god. Yeah, see, that's... Where are you meant to have that? Keep spinning the slot machine. Guy. I think the warp star will just let us go. I don't know if it takes us to the minigame actually. Maybe. Oh, mistimed that. Buddy, get out of my way, I need that star. Okay, so it just takes us back here. What is we going this? Oh, we can just peck. That's pretty neat. Welcome in, Brad. How's it going? I'm not doing great at the pinball, I'll be honest. But I'm not really a big pinball guy. So it's not surprising at least. How's your Tuesday going? Oh god. Dead. That's annoying. Mash buttons. That's also annoying. Yeah, means are annoying. I have a few meetings later today. Kind of the upside of working for a company that's mostly based in America is that I don't have a lot of meetings until like the second half of the day for the most part. So I kind of just, yeah, I'll have a coffee, get a bunch of like programming done, and then if I have meetings, I have them in the afternoon. I also just don't have a lot of meetings, thankfully. Yeah, I'm not a fan of running meetings either. I've not had to do that at this place, thankfully. Although I probably will at some point, because, you know, I'm meant to be a senior, so I should really be doing that. But, at my last job, well, not my last job, a couple of jobs ago, I definitely had to run meetings every now and again for stuff that I shouldn't have been. You know, like it wasn't my thing. Well, I was the one there that was like, you can't just show up and talk about a thing. To have some kind of organized. Oh my god. This is so terribly. Whenever I get stuck on this bottom floor, I always just die repeatedly. So if we have the ghosts, we get the warp star. If we hit this guy, I assume it'll launch us up somehow. It seems to be how these things usually work. Oh, we're so close. Dead. Awkward silence where they ask for questions. Yeah, that's always how it goes. I think it's often worse if they have like if someone asks one question. Because then whoever's hosting will often be like, alright, well that means there is questions being asked, so I need to wait a little bit longer. But you sit there in silence, just awkwardly. That was abysmal. But I nailed that apparently. Hit the wrong button. Didn't nail it that time. Alright, one more go. Well, I say one more go. We'll waste these lives and they'll have one more proper go. I do have a face, that is accurate. I've had my face on stream before. I'm usually just too lazy because I have the camera plugged into my MacBook. Like I have it plugged in for, you know, work calls. But, you know, I had to move it for the Kirby cam anyway. That's right, I'm not secretly Kirby. If only. God, why did the little thing get so small? If I just do this, you'll never know. I don't think I'm ever going to figure out what the timing is on that, like, recovery thing. Don't know how we're still up here, but let's keep going. This seems like the easiest of these. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but this seems like the easiest one to... I say as I mess it up instantly. It's the only one I've actually reached the boss on. We go. I feel like the music sometimes cuts in a weird way. I guess it's just the Game Boy struggling. Hit them in. Oh, close. Boss time. I think this is the only boss we're going to see in this stream. The fun boss though. No, didn't kill it though. I wonder if the damage you do to it stays. I doubt it, everything else seems to reset. I'll be surprised if the The boss didn't. And there we go. Yeah. I'm shocked we didn't die there. Alright, now we're gonna die. Yeah. Alright, we'll do one more. Try and see one of the other bosses. If we can beat it, that's a bonus, but I mean... I'm not fussed. We're already doing better than I expected. Yeah, let's just go into the cannon. You kinda want to see the Wispy Wood boss. I want to see how you even do that. I don't know how you get past the slot machine. I assume just one of the things you win in the slot machine must be like Kirby throwing you up. I'm already fucked. Need something to launch us up there. Ah. Messed it up. I'm especially bad at this level. I don't know what the dancing Kirby's at the bottom are for. Seems like if we go over them it does something. Nah, we're dead. Oh! At least go up here. No! God damn it. Then we're dead. Alright, one more try. And then I need to go. Let's try again. There must be some trick to that slot machine part of it. Oh. Oh. Kirby is. Oh, the Game Boy cannot handle this many sprites. Oh, there's a star up there. Did you ever play Pokemon Pinball? It kind of reminds me of that. That was on the Game Boy. There was a DS one as well, I think. Or was there a Game Boy Advance one, actually? So I guess the way this one works... Also, hold on. Let me fix them. Yeah, Dr. Mario's great. I'm also not very good at that. But yeah, the way this one seems to work is that you get over the Kirby, then it does the slot machine. And if you hit the Kirby, you can change individual spots on the slot machine. Oh, we're stuck down here. We're never getting back up. We were doing so well. Oh, oh, damn it. No good. Let's hope for the best here. Come on. I know I should really be like mashing the tilt when, you know, when it's clear that I'm gonna die. Like there. Oh, this is good. Potentially. We need to hit that last the mushroom guy. That's how we get the star to show up. Yes. Here we go. Boss time. Everyone's favorite. Wispy Woods. Oh god, this one like loops. That's weird. It's weirdly disorienting. Oh no! Right, we can do that. Oh no! Right. Here we go. Oh, I missed that entirely. No. Can we do it? Nope. When it blocks one of your flippers, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot you can actually do. Which, I mean, I guess is kind of the point, but there must be a way to recover from that. And I guess it's probably just doing this over and over. Alright, now we're fucked. Everything's gone downhill. We're doing alright, and now we're not. It's a tragedy. One more shot. We have one more life left. One more ball. Wee Kirby ball. Okay, we're fucked. Yeah, I don't even know. I still don't know what the timing is on that. It's just bizarre. It seems so random. That's really annoying. That game's cool though, other than that. I just need to figure out what the timing is on those recovery things. But that's gonna be me. A wee short stream. Yeah, I think it all looks really nice, and it plays well as well. Like, I'm gonna play more of this. I'm gonna try and get decent at it. I think. Try and see the other boss. Finish some of the bosses. There might be another wee boss after you finish 3 of them, I would guess. So if I get good enough to be able to do that, I'll show off on stream. If not, then I don't know. I won't. This isn't me playing. This is just the game playing itself. Maybe I'll show us something. Something that I've missed. But I think I saw everything. Except for one of the bosses. We never figured out how to get the boss with the chicks. I assume you have to get them to all walk into the wee holes. Which is strange. Strange mechanic. Lots of strange mechanics in this. But let me open up the thing that we do at the end of every one of these. Which is gonna capture this. Our current ranking of the... My keyboard is like all the way the other side of the desk for me. Our current ranking of the Kirby side games. We have Kirby Super Star Stacker, which is the Super Nintendo remake of Star Stacker. Kirby's Avalanche, and then Kirby's Dream Course. We're gonna add Kirby's Pinball Land. Oh, there's like a DX, like fan mod version of that. I might need to download that. Is Kirby's Pinball Land better than Dream Course? I think it is. I quite like it. Is it better than Kirby's Avalanche? Kirby's Avalanche is just like Kirby's Avalanche is just Puyo Puyo 2. Which is a good game, but I think Pinball Land's better than it. And is it better than Super Star Stacker? I think I would rather play Pinball Land. I'm not a big pinball guy, and I just think that this is a really fun little digital kind of pinball game. It reminds me of Pokemon Pinball, reminds me of Super Robot Pinball. I don't think it's the same devs as those games, but it's definitely got the same kind of vibe to it. So that's our new number 1. Let's view the list. Oh, no, it doesn't view if I do that. Or if I do that. Our new number 1 in our ranking of sub Kirby games. Kirby side games. This is our current ranking. You know, while I'm at it, let me open up the... Let me open up the other Kirby list. Because yeah, two number 1s. This is where we're at so far as we delve into every Kirby game. We have... I really should have put the actual Kirby games on top, but whatever, it's fine. Kirby Superstar is the best Kirby game so far. Kirby's Adventure, Kirby Dream Land 2, and Kirby Dream Land followed up. Kirby's Pinball Land is the best side game so far, with Superstar Stacker, Avalanche, and Dream Course. They're all good though. I don't think we've played a single bad game yet. I think that's my main takeaway from this is like, there's not, like all of these Kirby games have been good, at the very least. Even Dream Course, which is kind of weird and has like, it's weirdly difficult and punishing in a way, is like a fun kind of weird golf puzzle thing. So, I hope that stays. Like, it would be disappointing if at some point we hit a Kirby game we're just like, oh, this is shit. Oh no. After all these, we finally hit a bad one. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're all going to be good, at least, but we'll see, I guess. Anyway, let me switch to... Actually, let me quickly switch to this one to see what we've got left to play.